Welcome back to Threads of Wisdom, where every story weaves a lesson for life. Let's dive into today's journey of insight and inspiration. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the wisdom. Now let's get started. In the heart of a bustling city, among the towering buildings and crowded streets, there lived a young boy named Kai. He wasn't like the other kids, quiet, thoughtful, and a bit smaller than the rest. While others played in the parks and laughed in groups, Kai often found himself alone, lost in his thoughts. At school, things were even harder. Some of the bigger kids took pleasure in making Kai's life difficult. They teased him, pushed him around, and called him names. Day after day, the bullying continued, and no matter how much he tried to ignore it, the weight of their words began to sink in. Kai would go home each afternoon, his heart heavy. He couldn't understand why he was the target. His mother, noticing his sadness, would often ask him about his day, but Kai kept his pain hidden. He didn't want to worry her. But one day, after a particularly rough encounter at school, he couldn't hold it in any longer. "Why do they hate me?" Kai asked his mother, his voice breaking. "Why do they treat me like I don't belong?" His mother, a wise woman who had faced her own share of struggles growing up, looked at him with compassion. She didn't offer pity, only understanding. "Kai," she said softly, "let me tell you about the stone in the river." Kai wiped his eyes and listened as his mother spoke. "You see, in the wild rivers of the mountains, there are stones that get tossed and turned by the current. Some stones, when they're first thrown into the river, are sharp and rough, much like the people who hurt you. The river pushes them, crashes against them, and sometimes even breaks them. But then there are other stones that learn to stand strong against the current. Over time, the water smooths their edges, not by breaking them, but by shaping them. They become strong, resilient, and beautiful in their own way." "But I'm not strong," Kai said quietly. His mother smiled gently. "You are stronger than you think, Kai. The river may push you, and people may try to break you, but every challenge is an opportunity to grow, to become smoother and stronger. The world will shape you, but it will not break you unless you let it." Kai didn't fully understand his mother's words that day, but they stayed with him. Each time the other kids bullied him, he would think of the stone in the river, holding on to the idea that the challenges he faced were shaping him, not breaking him. As the years passed, Kai grew, not just in height, but in strength of character. He learned to stand up for himself, not with fists, but with confidence. He joined a local boxing gym where he found discipline, focus, and a mentor who taught him that true strength comes from within. Slowly, the bullying began to fade as others saw the change in him. He wasn't the same boy they could push around anymore. By the time Kai reached high school, he had transformed. He wasn't the toughest kid, nor the most popular, but he had something far more valuable: self-respect. He had become like the stone in the river, shaped by his challenges but never broken. The rough edges that once made him feel out of place had become his strength. One day as he walked home from school, he saw a younger boy being bullied by the same group that once tormented him. For a moment, Kai stood still, watching, remembering how he had once been in that boy's place. Then, without hesitation, he stepped forward. He didn't need to fight. His presence alone, confident and unshakable, was enough to stop the bullies in their tracks. Kai walked the younger boy home that day, telling him the same story his mother had told him about the stone in the river. "The world will try to push you around," he said, "but it's up to you whether you let it break you or shape you." And in that moment, Kai realized that he had become the stone, strong, resilient, and a reminder that even the smallest among us can grow into something unbreakable. If this story resonated with you, remember, life's challenges don't define you. How you face them does. Subscribe to Threads of Wisdom for more stories of strength and growth, and always remember, you are stronger than you think.